Life can be tough. We all face challenges that make us feel overwhelmed, frustrated, and sometimes lost. But what if I told you that, with faith, you can not only survive these struggles, but come out stronger? From financial difficulties to broken relationships, health issues, and daily stress, life's struggles seem never-ending. Yet faith can transform how we face these challenges, offering us hope, strength, and purpose. Faith in God doesn't mean you won't face difficulties. It means you will have the power and the resilience to overcome them. It's like having a flashlight in a dark tunnel. It doesn't remove the darkness, but shows you the way through it. In the Bible, we see countless examples of men and women who faced unimaginable struggles, but held onto their faith in God. Joseph was sold into slavery by his own brothers, thrown into prison for a crime he didn't commit, yet he remained faithful and eventually became a leader in Egypt. Faith is like an anchor. When the storms of life rage, it keeps you grounded, ensuring you don't drift away into despair or hopelessness. Even when everything around you is chaotic, your faith keeps you steady. Many people today are struggling with depression, anxiety, and fear. The world is full of uncertainty. But the Bible reminds us in Philippians 4:6-7 not to be anxious about anything but to bring everything to God in prayer. He promises to give us peace beyond human understanding. Think of David. He was just a young shepherd boy when he faced the giant Goliath. Everyone else was terrified, but David's faith in God made him fearless. He didn't rely on his own strength but trusted in God's power. When we face struggles, it's easy to rely on our own abilities, connections, or resources. But faith reminds us that our strength comes from God. When we are weak, He is strong. Life will always throw challenges our way, but with faith, we can see these challenges as opportunities for growth. God doesn't allow struggles to destroy us, but to shape us into stronger, wiser, and more compassionate individuals. Look at the story of Job. He lost everything: his wealth, his family, and his health. Yet, he refused to curse God or give up on his faith. In the end, God restored everything to him and blessed him even more than before. Job's story teaches us that our struggles are not the end. With faith, we can trust that God has a bigger plan even when we can't see it. Sometimes, the greatest blessings come after the toughest trials. It's normal to feel overwhelmed when life gets hard. But in these moments, remember Matthew 17:20, where Jesus tells us that faith as small as a mustard seed can move mountains. You don't need a lot of faith, just a little, but consistent faith. Faith doesn't mean you won't feel fear, doubt, or frustration. It means you keep trusting God despite those feelings. Faith is about trusting God's promises, even when the situation seems hopeless. The Bible is full of promises that give us hope during tough times. Isaiah 41:10 says, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you." This is a promise we can hold on to when life gets hard. Jesus never promised that life would be easy, but He promised that He would be with us. In John 16:33 He said, "In this world you will have trouble. But take heart, I have overcome the world." It's comforting to know that we don't have to face life's struggles alone. God is always with us, guiding, comforting, and strengthening us. He is our refuge and our strength, a very present help in trouble. Psalm 46:1. Faith gives us a new perspective on our problems. Instead of seeing them as roadblocks, we see them as stepping stones. Instead of obstacles, they become opportunities to grow closer to God and to build our character. When we go through hard times, our faith is often tested, But this testing strengthens us. James 1:2-3 tells us to consider it pure joy when we face trials because the testing of our faith produces perseverance. Perseverance is key to overcoming life's struggles. It's about pressing forward even when everything in you wants to give up. Faith fuels perseverance because it reminds us that God is in control and that better days are ahead. We live in a fast-paced world that wants instant solutions to problems, but faith teaches us patience. Sometimes God's answer to our struggles isn't immediate relief but the strength to endure. Think of the Israelites wandering in the wilderness for 40 years. It wasn't easy, but their faith in God's promise of a better future kept them moving forward. They learned to trust God's timing, even when it didn't make sense. Patience doesn't come naturally to most of us, especially when we're struggling. But God uses these moments to teach us to trust Him more deeply. Faith in His perfect timing brings peace to our hearts. In times of struggle, it's also important to surround ourselves with people who can encourage and uplift us. The Bible says in Galatians 6:2 to carry each other's burdens. Community is essential when facing life's challenges. Having faith doesn't mean you isolate yourself. It means you find strength in the support of others. God often uses the people around us to encourage and remind us of His promises. Jesus had His disciples to lean on during His most difficult moments. Even as the Son of God, He valued community and fellowship. This teaches us the importance of not going through struggles alone. When you face struggles, find people who can pray with you, support you, and remind you of God's faithfulness. Sometimes, hearing the testimony of others can reignite your own faith. Faith isn't a solo journey. It's something we build together as we encourage one another. The Bible says in Hebrews 10:25 not to give up meeting together but to encourage one another, especially when times are tough.